This is going to be
One of the
great.
things they talked about was
terrible.
watching Saturday Night Live the way you watch your sports team. Oh, man, that opening was terrible, but they had a couple of good passes right here. I really hope they land this. So I listened to a bunch of our old podcasts the same way that you would watch. Yeah. I need a pop filter for mine, and I need to stop opening all of my sequences with so and.
Well,
hey, this is a good way to start.
It's a great way to start. Absolutely.
I wasn't in the right spot. Jeez. Hopefully we get to land this thing.
Come on.
Hey, you never read it
Terrible
before?
Opening. I know. I wrote it. I should have memorized. Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of a la champ or track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. Jeff even belongs to both. We even think you Drifto hella flush folks are, right? What folks in there, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
It's literally been folks. It's been folks.
I know.
The whole. It's 45 episodes, Jeff.
Join us each week for a tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes from the world of low buck racing, and if you're lucky, Chrissy might give you just the tip. Everyone,
you're out of luck.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you for coming back to another instructive episode. Instructive, not constructive or destructive. Instructive episode. It is episode 45, which I just Googled, and it is the Sapphire. If you were a wedding anniversary for 45 years, it is the Sapphire. Just because 45 seemed like...
Small, crappy record.
I prefer the bullets that you put into a 1911. That's
Chris, you had this beautiful thing, Sapphire. We get old crappy record and detective show firearm reference.
All of this is true. All about 45s. Okay, Mental, what are you working on?
So this weekend, I was with Extreme Experience at New Jersey Motorsports Park. So I drove the Boxster.
Which track?
The Dong course.
Is that lightning, right?
Yeah, it's
yes, lightning.
Yeah, it's lightning. Oh yeah. From an instruction standpoint, it's a very good track, especially if you've never been on a track before. But we did have quite a few people show up with some SCCA stickers on their helmet, and they were like, "Oh, this track." But honestly, if you're in a high-speed supercar, I think that's the one to go because you get a good shot out of the bolt and you get a good run down the straightaway in a supercar. It's a lot of fun. So the big deal is I drove the Boxster, what was supposed to be a 12-hour trip. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, yeah, on that track, I was with the Extreme Experience and people who have never been on the track at all. I was getting 140, 150 on the straight before I was telling them to slow down, and they could have gone faster, but that's as fast as I'll let them.
And I had several 150 plus drivers that they knew what they were doing. They took good instruction, and we got it cooking down there and still kept it safe. And actually, I had a few folks ask where you were, Jeff, because I was up there with most of Rally Baby.
Yeah.
And most of Robert, and then another guy, John Giabroni, he brought a bunch of his motorcycle racing buddies out there. So that was actually nice because those guys are really focused on being smooth. So, but I what was supposed to be a 12-hour drive ended up being a 14-and-a-half-hour drive because I hate the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Yep.
God,
it's a shame that
81, 2 lanes, and it's all either construction or accidents. And
so how are your fixed back racing seats over that period?
Oh, it's a good thing that I'm not going to have children because otherwise I'd never have children. And it's like Sunday night, Josh Jenny, and we've raced against him. Josh Jenny comes out to the car and he looks at, he's like, "Holy crap! You drove from Georgia in those? You are mental."
That's about right. Well, it's either that or Annie. So,
and honestly, I would have been more comfortable riding the VFR. I'm on the way home. I'm glad I didn't because we had an ugly rainstorm that I caught just outside of North Carolina. But that one, it routed me through the Beltway, and I was happier. I was so much happier driving through Delaware.
There it is.
Chris said no one ever.
Yeah, I was right. Chris, what are you working on, or should we hide yours to the end since it's the most sad trombone.
Yeah, why don't we leave mine to the end?
Okay.
That's a story.
So
Yeah.
I will go next, and I will say why I was not at Extreme Experience Weekend at NJMP. Because as mentioned before, we promised to get ourselves some training this year, and I was away training. So those of you who listen to Show 44 know that I was on vacation for the week. So I packed like a mad person. I installed the 5-point belts in the Miata. Thanks to young Chris Egan and 3-Pedal Mafia Dave for donating belts to the cause. And I loaded up are you ready for this? Rental truck.
Oh, that happened. And you
Yes,
looked
it
so
did.
good in that truck.
So I loaded up
AC
the rental
work,
truck.
good stereo, the whole 9 yards.
And it's
Just wait
beautiful.
to listen to what it was, Mental.
So I called a friend who shall work for a nameless major rental company with a commercial division, and he got me a family discount. And I called
You're
and I
missing
said,
all the air quotes that happen
yes,
here.
yeah, there are air quotes happening for those of you in podcast land. And he said, well, Jeff, they didn't have a 3/4 ton, so you're getting a full ton dually. I hope that's okay. So I had a Ram 3500
Mental's
dually with 9,000 miles on it. Diesel. It was so nice.
Cummings diesel.
Yeah, it was the Cummings diesel. I'm very upset. When I was returning it to the place on Monday morning, I found the Jake brake button. How did I not have that all weekend? So anyway,
That's because if you found it, we would have done it at least once.
Exactly.
So
yes.
At least once? No.
Chris and I have determined through detective work that the transfer pump is definitely blown on the Avalanche, and I would have gotten every 100 miles had to stop for gas. So I'm glad that I took
gets
it.
old on the turnpike.
It does get
because
old on the turnpike.
Sometimes you don't have that option.
Right.
Right? There's
So
that.
the Super Miata got loaded into the enclosed trailer, Black Magic trailer, and took it out to Pittsburgh. Had a great time. I will mention here, because we're going to talk about the rest of it out later in the show, that I did do some wrenching while I was there. I had to adjust the belts. I had to adjust the sways, swap the tires, and fix the taillights on the trailer, because no weekend at a racetrack is ever done until you repair something on the trailer.
It's good that we had time. So it wasn't a huge deal. Really, we weren't scrambling. It was cool. Yes, Mental.
So on the subject of turnpike, and I'm sorry for not getting this in my turn. I get into Maryland. I'm a little punch drunk because it's been 14 hours, and I'm going through the turnpike. I don't have any cash with me. So the first one, they give me the little go pay this online thing, and I get to the second stop in the Maryland Turnpike, and dude wants to give me a lecture. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, you should really have some cash on you. I can't believe you don't play. All right, first off, dude, I got Georgia plates. Secondly, it's 2 a.m. and you're working at a toll pike booth. Let's talk about who has not made good decisions. So up yours, Maryland Turnpike operator. Sorry. Please continue with your stories. But that just brought back a PTSD.
Wait, Maryland.
He's just meant that he's going to be unemployed within the year or two because they're replacing
seriously.
all toll booths with
God.
toll by mail.
What is this 1984 where nobody accepts cards?
It's a toll booth.
too
What
long.
do you do?
Takes
Pull
too
out
long.
his phone in a square?
That right there, it's like I pay taxes. Why am I paying to
That's
use your
75
in the
cents?
background shouting out cash. Look, here's the deal. For those of you who live above the Mason-Nixon line, we have a thing called Easy Pass because we go through a toll booth every 10 minutes.
Which is stupid. What? Don't you pay gas tax? Don't you pay property tax? Don't you pay? Well, no, you guys.
Not consistently.
You file this
you know
stuff
what?
in Delaware,
It
but
gets
don't
cold.
you pay? That's
It gets
what
cold
I pay.
and our
I pay
roads
taxes.
break. So when it
Okay.
gets cold and
Jeff,
freeze-thaw cycles.
I'm done.
you
I'm done.
know,
I've been
et
recovering
cetera.
since. I don't know why we're still talking. Chris,
Oh,
tell us
hey.
what you're working on.
Chrissy, why don't you go?
Well, and I don't want to bust any surprises here. So we had a total scramble last week to get the Honda ready. I have to say we were trying to get the trailer ready on Thursday so Chris could leave with it on Friday. We definitely had an issue, and actually all of you know how well the very large aluminum trailer fits in between our tree and our other tree.
That's right. We were worried about getting that one out, weren't we?
We didn't get it out well. We definitely got it stuck at some point, and of course it's my fault because I'm the director that says, "Are you hitting the tree or you're not hitting the tree? You're hitting the tree. You're hitting the tree. You're hitting the tree. You're hitting the tree."
How big is the dent?
It's
It's
bad.
not. We just ended up having to pull it out straight across the driveway, across the front yard.
It was to the point said, do we take the mailbox out? Do we cut the tree down? How do we get it out of the spot on Thursday? Go ahead.
I believe I mentioned when you put it in the first time, you're going to have to move your mailbox because there's no way it's getting in and out.
Oh, we knew that. Well, I'd gotten in and out once without the mailbox.
Hold on,
this time, because it was so close to the tree, I just drove across the front yard.
I feel like I have some.
That was my suggestion, actually, and it worked out fine. But we don't want to keep driving across the lawn. That's just
I feel like I have some culpability in this one because I remember, like, right as it came off the hitch on the Suburban, it like shifted 6 inches closer to the tree.
So we
than
learned
when you
this
backed
lesson
in.
on when I said it's fine now, and that's because the tire was on the root.
On the root. Yeah, the tire was on the root.
So the tire's on the root, and then as soon as it comes off the root, it shifts back into the tree. So anyway,
it's not fine anymore.
we're okay. No, it's really not a big deal. So we had some scramble on Friday, which Chris will tell you about, and then we got to the track late on Sunday, we got track late on Friday, got back super late on Sunday, and now we're just trying to get back to normal. So we had some weird weather, and now we don't want to do stuff outside. So that's what I'm going to do. Chris, tell us exactly what we're talking about on this.
So why don't we pause so I can go, dun, dun, dun.
And folks, in podcast listeners, I am about to be in the same level of surprise and disappointment as you are because I asked these questions before we start, and I was accused of burning pod. So I may cry a little. I'm a sensitive man.
Okay.
So
it's all up to you.
long pause for a
sip
very
of
well-deserved drink.
Right. Gather round, children. I shall tell you the story of my Friday.
With tissues.
Mm-hmm. So Chrissy and I got everything set up Thursday. I adjusted the brakes in the trailer. We loaded everything we needed into it, hooked up on the street, ready to go, so I could go to work for a half day, and I could leave work promptly at 11:30 to make my 1 o'clock dyno appointment that was an hour and a half away from my work. So the morning, things went well. I had an extra meeting that I wasn't expecting. I didn't get to eat any lunch, but so be it.
Extra meeting on a Friday? That never happens.
Right, so we're still okay.
Twinkie time, mental. Let the story roll.
Right. So we made it. I made it to the dyno at 1:02, just as the tuner was finishing a remote tune, also for someone going to pit race, who had a K24 swap in their 96 Civic Hatch, which is very nice.
I didn't realize. That's fun.
Yep. So I then pulled the Civic out of the trailer. We bring it around. It actually makes it into the garage bay of the dyno without driving up any wood, despite the splitter. And we get it up, and this is a dyno pack. It's not a Mustang or a roller dyno. You actually unbolt the wheels and bolt these little spline hubs to the wheels,
stands.
and they go into these packs. But the nice part about that is it lets you actually load it up as like you can load it up to hold it. And you can be at full throttle and holding at 3,000 RPM, and it'll do it. So it's an interesting thing, especially for braking in the engine. So anyway, the tuner, Derek at Innovate Motorsports, he's tuned this car a couple times before. He knows what the deal is. He has base maps on stock, so we're fine. We're going along. So we're braking in the motor. It's braking in great. It's not smoking anything. But we're having problems with boost control because our really crappy manual boost controller is not controlling the boost well. Like it's spiking up to 9 and then going down to 4. Like it's really bad. So we found one like randomly in a pile in the corner of his shop. We get something that's going to hold okay. But even then, before then, we were just running on wastegate pressure on that Saab turbo, which is like 4 psi. Yeah, mental.
Well, I wanted to know what's the target boost on that?
Well, target boost is we'd like it around between 8 and 10.
Okay.
So we're running like 4 psi in the wastegate, and and so we run a few passes that way. The motor's broken in. It's making fine power for 4 psi. It's actually doing great. So we're optimistic on what's going on. So we're playing with the boost controller. So we finally get to a spot where we run a few little short passes, and we're getting about 9, and it's settling down around 5 or 6. So we're okay, it sounds good. So then we go for a pass, and it boost spikes up to 10, goes down a bit, and then at about 4,000 RPM, all of a sudden, out of the catch can vent on the firewall is a large amount of smoke. So Derek shuts the car down. There's no noise. There is no pop. There is no dramatics. There is only smoke out of the catch can. Otherwise, totally fine. It sounds okay, but whatever. So we shut it down and say, well, that's not good. Let's look. We pull the plugs. Plugs look perfect. nice and tan, no metal on them, look great. Well, all right, let's dig a little deeper. Let's pull out the compression gauge. Cylinder 1, 185. About right.
Oh, good. Okay.
Cylinder 2, 0. Cylinder 3, 190. Cylinder 4, 190. Yeah. So then we hook up the leak down gauge and make sure we get cylinder 2 up to TDC, and put 90 psi in through it. Oh, it's only holding 40. Oh, well, that's a shame. Well, where's it going? Oh, open the valve cover, and it's just pouring out of the valve cover, the oil fill in the valve cover. That's where all the air is going. So it's going through the rings.
So it's going into the crankcase.
Yep, it's going
not
right
into the head, not past the valves.
It's not a valve. It's going past the rings into the crankcase. So then we also even stuck a borescope down there, and we see nothing wrong in the borescope. It looks fine. Yeah, Jeff.
So I just want to remind, because we have new listeners every week. All 10 of you who listen don't seem to come back every week. So new listeners, is a Honda D16 Y8 single cam VTEC that we rebuilt.
Yep.
Oh, Jeff,
with a turbo.
Single piece of 2 weeks before this incident.
Yeah, pretty much.
So new rings,
brand new motor,
pistons,
brand new motor.
Well, and
all
and
the machine work,
mental help with this.
all the head work, everything.
Completely brand new motor.
Is cylinder 2 the one that let us down last time?
No.
No.
Cylinder 3 is
4.
Actually, cylinder 4 is the one that let us down last time. But in Hondas in general, 3 is the one that goes bad.
Okay.
And neither Derek the tuner or I have ever seen a Honda have a problem with cylinder 2. Ever. So basically, even if the car starts right up, it doesn't sound like a Subaru. It's like something's really
No, it
wrong.
sounds fine. Actually,
It sounds fine.
We had to move it out of the trailer,
Right.
so it was fine.
It smokes a little out of the catch can, but that's it. So
is it because we fussed over those rings for?
Right.
I mean, we took 2 hours to put those in.
So,
you talked to the manufacturer to make sure that
oh
you
yeah,
understood
I
what
talked
they
to the
suggested,
piston manufacturer about it all to get everything right. So anyway, this weekend, guess what I'm doing? I am pulling that motor apart, but I'm leaving it in the car. I'm pulling the head, I'm pulling the pan, and I'm pulling piston 2 out and seeing what happened so we can diagnose if it's repairable or if it's not.
I think I speak for all of us when I say.
I didn't hear that.
There was some sort of sound effect that barely got there.
All right.
All right. So
I'll turn it up louder.
So
I'm going to ask around the table.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask around the table predictions, just because I think I don't know. I want to hear what everybody thinks.
Wait,
Mental, you put it together. You go first. I'll go second. Chrissy, then Chris.
Okay.
Mental, what do you think?
All right. I
think what happened.
I'm going to go with, and we had, I mean, this was a 2-hour process that we extensively researched when I was up there.
Well,
so I
will add one more thing into this. As I was at the dyno, I swapped the injectors from 240cc to 450cc that I'd had cleaned and flow balanced. I also swapped the map sensor to one that will not freak out once it gets above 9 psi. Aside from that, it was on good break-in oil. It had run through 3 heat cycles at home and been fine. That's the base.
My thing is we actually drew a paper map of where those rings should go. But being that this is in fact, it is really a pioneering application of turbocharging a single cam.
Well, in endurance racing.
Well, I mean, it's not that pioneering.
We did it before.
Yeah.
To kind of the same result on a different. But yeah, my thing is, I'm going to go with he caught it soon enough. Something went wonky with those rings, and either that was one of the ones either we didn't file enough or we filed too much, because we were dealing with thousands of inches when we were gapping those. And so I'm going to go with he's going to change the rings and it's going to work.
Okay. Chris,
it's somewhat delusional, but I'm an optimist.
Jeff, go.
I'm going to say that there is a piston ring out of position. And I'm not saying that you installed it wrong, but I don't think it shifted. It either shifted in placing it in, or it shifted in those other things. I don't think we melted one at this point. I don't think we broke anything, and I think you guys put it in right. Like, I don't think you misinstalled something upside down or, put a wrong ring in the wrong groove. I'm going to say somehow in the process, like you're going to find 2 rings in one groove or something like that, or the ring out of the groove completely because we're dealing with tolerances, like they're wider gaps than, and so the wide gap pulled the corner out or something. It's my thought.
I think either we cracked a ring putting it in, like between, when you put that ring compressor in, it's such tight tolerances that it's possible we cracked a ring doing that, or we put a ring on upside down because they do actually have an upside and a downside.
There is an upside down possibility.
Didn't 2 give us fits? Didn't 2 we have to put in twice?
4.
4. Okay, never mind. I will also say, now, we've got some actually very, very savvy and intelligent listeners, and if you've got some input, folks, get it up on our Facebook page. We're going to have a Facebook discussion up there about what happened. What do you think happened? Or what experiences have you had with just one cylinder going bad?
Honda motors.
Well, no, the weird part about it is
looking at you, Team OK Speed, with your number
here's the
3
weird
cylinder
part about
head.
Mental is that this was not like a max power pull. This was at
It was like a small
4,000 RPM at 8 pounds of boost.
At low boost.
We were at 135 foot-pounds of torque when this happened. Like we were
I want to know what our listeners
pushing this
think.
hard. And
that's
nothing,
why I think something shifted. I don't think it
nothing
melted.
exciting. Like seriously, no dramatics in any way. It was Derek and I were saying this is the least dramatic and least satisfying engine failure that either of us have ever seen. Right?
I'm thinking that Chris Egan or other engineering folks out there are going to have some sort of long, they're going to send us like math. And they're going to say, I think it was this.
Okay. So I'm going to keep going because we're taking a long time.
Keep going on.
Keep going. Yes, keep going.
The problem is, this is 3 o'clock. We got to be in Pittsburgh the next day. I have a student. Chrissy and Jeff have a car to drive. Well, crap. What do we do?
Oh, crap.
So I start heading home, and I get Chrissy up on the phone and saying, "So, honey, well, we have 2 other track-capable cars. I mean, the Mercedes
we have
has
3,
run one
but
lap.
Come on, we have got 3.
Well, so the Mazda could be if it had it needs an alignment. Like we have actually specifically taken the camber out of the Mazda so that it doesn't trash its tires on Chrissy's long commute.
And I also have an issue with the axle.
And 420sucks.com.
Exactly.
Right.
So then we also have the Mercedes. That's run 1 lap, and it's fine. It does it, but it's not like that's not where it's at home. It's at home crossing continents, but it'll do it. But it'll go like obnoxiously fast down the straights. But then in the corners you get a park. So
yeah.
Then there's the NSX.
I got rid of mine,
which is lovely in so many ways, but also quite expensive. So be it. So what we decided is that the NSX would be the most at home on the track.
That's what we brought.
That all it needed was an oil change. And I had all the stuff to do the oil change. So as soon as I got home, we changed the oil on the NSX, put red line in and a new Honda filter because I'd already put Motul in the brakes. It has stock brake pads though. That was fun. And
we'll get there.
It's an NSX. So we loaded the NSX back into the trailer and we took off. And Jeff arrived. So we actually all caravanned with our NSX and our Miata. And then on the way, we purchased an HPDE insurance policy through Haggerty.
I was on the iPad.
Best
we're like, okay, you're done.
Ever. Not that you used it.
$376, actually, just in case you want to know. It's like completely reasonable for actually a supercar.
And that's for $65,000 of coverage for 2 days of driving on track. Seems all right to me. Like if I hadn't gotten it and something had happened, I would feel like the biggest fool. So yeah.
No, I didn't actually. We won't have to go into this, but I was not excited about this car going on track a lot. Go ahead, Mental. What?
I have 2 things. I believe it was right after you bought it that both Jeff and I predicted that this car would end up on track, and you guys were enthused. I won't say adamant, but you were enthusiastic about it wouldn't.
Chrissy was enthusiastic that it wouldn't. I knew it would. All right.
Hence the conversation that I had on Friday.
News and notes.
Let's
move on. Hashtag Haggerty should totally sponsor us.
News and notes. Let's make it quick.
losing notes. I want to mention that Sergio Marchionne, CEO of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, has died at the age of 66. Those of you who do not know, he is Italian American, so it was perfect for him to be in the head of Fiat Chrysler. And on Saturday, July 21st, FCA board learned that he was potentially dying. And the board appointed Englishman Mike Manley as CEO. Manley was running Jeep and Ram brands, although he's not an American.
That's gone quite well.
Yeah, and has done very well with them. So he is now the CEO of Fiat Chrysler, and Sergio Marchionne had some sort of shoulder surgery that is cancerous, and died on the operating table. So
complications after the operation, yeah.
Yeah. So pour out some whatever oil of your favorite flavor is.
Dello.
Pour out some Dello for FCA.
Dello and Agip. A little bit of both.
Yep.
We're not laughing at Sergio. We're laughing.
No. I mean,
we're laughing at Dello.
Yeah. Sergio.
Yeah, we're laughing.
He actually got Chrysler out of the grips of Cerebus.
No, it's brilliant.
Cerebus was about to basically make them like Little Tykes, my first car. And he actually got them out of debt and got them making money, and things are going well. So good
God
for
bless.
him.
Cerberus would have killed.
He succeeded where the Germans failed, and wow, because Mercedes couldn't turn those guys around, and he did.
And it was actually perfect because Chrysler had 0 little cars, 0 high volume profitable vehicles, and Fiat had no distribution in America and had no trucks and nothing else to sell in Europe. So worked out great.
Yep.
All right. Do I get the next one?
I do. I'm very excited about this because I saw that. And it's kind of badass.
It is kind of badass. So, friend of the team, Porsche file, and sometimes Lemons racer all the time. Big old air quotes around this one. Journalist Steph Schrader.
Freelancer now. She's officially a freelancer.
Yes. Recently wrote a Jalopnik article that Dictionary.com has recently added "send it" as a term, as in I'm going to send it. For those of you who don't know.
Of course I'm going to send it.
Of course I'm going to send it. For those of you who don't know, this is a quote from some Canadian dude who is a Hoon. He is Hoontastic. And it's a viral video, and he says, I'm going to send it. Of course I'm going to send it. And, of course I broke my arm, but I'm still going to send it. So before he jumps his snowmobile over trash and things. But anyway, Dictionary.com has added "send it" to the lexicon and quoted Steph's article as proper usage. And she also used the term Radwood era to describe the haircut and the wardrobe of said Canadian Hoon. So I was, so Radwood, Hoon, it's all there. I totally looked, and Janky, by the way, is listed at Dictionary.com.
Are you not there?
Is not.
Oh. Well, that'll be there soon.
What?
Oh, it's coming.
It's got to be in the dictionary. If Chrissy's mom is using Janky, that's got to be
right. How do we make that?
Janky is there. Hoon is not.
But how do we make it so that you are the definition of Janky?
Janky's already there. It's too late.
Now Hoon is under Wikipedia, though.
That doesn't count.
That's like too
anyway. If you want to see, the link will be in the notes. It literally lists her and a few other people using the term "send it." Just going to send it, and you can link to the original videos of the crazy mulleted, denim jacketed Hoon. So there it is. Okay,
fantastic. How about Mental? Is any Lemons action this weekend?
We do. And, we got to send a shout out to our very favorite and first and always close to our heart guest, Eric Root. So he sent us all the list for everyone that has entered the Lemons race at the Reg this weekend. So we've got 7 BMWs. Cue the
boring.
Thank you. 3 Hondas, 4 Miatas, and to my great joy, 3 Porsche cars, and honestly, some really other cool cars and even better team names.
Yeah,
totally.
My favorite track, wish we were there. We have Onset. Tetanus only has 1 car this weekend, their Cavalier.
Well, we're going to beat them.
We'll see.
The national friggin' second placers.
Right.
First
Silver Sleeves, which are our total friends. We love them. We've raced against them quite a few times. They have their MG 111 Sports Saloon. Is that the crab?
Is that the land crab?
No. The Austin 1800 is a land crab. The MG 1100 Sports Saloon is basically a Wasley Hornet, which is like the best automotive name ever. With
Wasley?
Yes, it's like a mini with a Rolls Royce front end on it from the.
It's
factory.
very English. Yeah. It is absurd.
I'm googling it.
It must be a new car for them then.
No, they've had it for a couple years. No. They painted it like John Lennon's Rolls Royce Phantom from back in the day.
I was going to say, it looks like a little tiny Rolls Royce.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, they have that. I'm sorry, I didn't know about that.
It was the English version of the Cadillac Cimarron.
Their land crab. And the other one that I loved is the 86 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme Brougham Horse. So we'll see how that does.
Of Pony Keg, yeah. I'm a fan of the name of the Taco Ninjas and their 94 Honda del Sol, because Taco Ninjas. Yep.
Absolutely.
The Petty Cash, longtime friends of ours, they've got their 87 Jeep Cherokee with I think it has a 5.3 LS in it now. So good for them for the first racing
LS
Jeeps.
everything.
Exactly. And then they're also bringing out a 94 BMW 348i. So I just think Matt Adair is now a sellout. So sorry, Matt. And then a 98 Honda Civic, another fun Honda team, because Honda teams usually have a great sense of humor. Their team name is the Zealous Noobs, name of our sex tape. Good for them.
I'm not sure. I think I'm missing the reference there. I want to mention a couple of vehicles that we love. Yes, with a pickup bed. 73 Ford Ranchero, Team 0. That's their number. Team Bavarian Ranchero. So that is an actual Ranchero.
That's an
I know
E30.
I know it's the E30. It's got a bed.
Well, they made a wonderfully convincing Ranchero replica.
It's got a Ranchero front end, man.
Oh yeah,
it's actually got a Ranchero like A pillar and B pillar too.
Right.
It looks great.
They just cut it down the middle and like took 2 feet out of it and put it.
And of all the teams that we're listing today, this one actually is a shot of winning.
True.
Right?
It can drive.
It thinks fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There is also a regular old 1991 Ranger Restart Racing number 3. I love these team. Oh, here's a car I always wanted. A 1990 Mercedes 190E 2.6.
Oh yeah.
Car 140 Car Error Pan America. So I assume they are Pan America racings. 183 the Misfits. MISSFITS.
Misfits.
Punk's not dead. And 221. Who cares what they drive? It's
right.
And Team 221. I want to bring this up. Citroën Commando.
Citronen.
Commando.
Citronen.
Begins with the K.
I don't know. They're not driving anything French.
No.
It's a 1991.
That's his Deutsch. Das ist Deutsch.
His Deutsch.
Das ist
warum. Now's the time on Sprockets.
Sie hast eine Vanagon. Yes.
Yeah.
They
have a Volkswagen Vanagon.
Well, hang on. There's not just one, but 2
There's
Vanagons in this race.
I'm aware.
There's almost as many Vanagons
like that one.
as Hondas. That's a good race.
That is a good race. And on the good race, Team Sharknado. Who cares what they're driving? It's a Ford Focus, but it's awesome. Yes. Silicone Junkyard Racing is bringing a 68 Datsun Roadster, which is awesome that they could even find one of those.
My father had a 2000. 68 2000.
My dad had a 69. Yeah. Somehow, against our ill-advised efforts, against our ill-advised efforts, another team has brought a 1984 Datsun 720 pickup. So Team 720, the Sewer Bros. I just have to throw it out.
The oil pan, everybody.
Yeah, wait,
the oil
baffle
pan
it.
properly.
That's the way I baffle it.
We are sure that's not yours.
Yeah, it's the wrong side of the country
away. So I'm reasonably certain, but if it is, even bigger props. If it is ours, we're gonna have them on the show because that's just too awesome.
Totally. Keep going.
And then I got to go with Vertigo Racing, bringing 2 Porsche 944s. One of them's a turbo. Yes, the blow-uppiness of that one shall be proven.
I would love to have a 944 turbo.
Hey,
absolutely.
That's going to finish behind the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme and the
Absolutely.
MG 1100.
I'm going to get all Porsche outraged, but you're totally right. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of cars that won't finish well, the That Guy Racing is bringing a 1997 Porsche Boxster, which I think is raced before.
I think it has too.
All right,
So
we'll see.
I also want to mention that Champ Car is at MSR Houston, 7 Enduro, Twilight Grand Prix. So far as we can tell, there is only 17 entries on the website. So maybe more show up, maybe not.
God.
5
Otherwise-
BMWs, 5 BMWs, 1
again.
Honda, 2
Do it again.
Miatas, 0 Porsches, 17 cars total. Not a dog sound
What a
effect.
bark?
Not what we're looking for.
Sorry, they won't let me kill him. Hang on a second.
That's
Shut up.
better.
17 cars.
17 cars.
That-
MSR Houston.
We had more than that in our like HPD groups this weekend.
Oh, more, absolutely.
Really, like lots more. Even at the end of the
I really
day.
think that's a failure of their website. I don't think that there's no way. Houston, there's more crappy cars in Texas than 17.
But Champ Car has a lot more events. And sometimes their events are too close to each other or not on good dates.
Oh, like
so
the four
there
of
it
us
is.
plus our friends could come up with 17 cars for a week. Like,
Chris,
really?
what are you going to say?
That is true. Mike
I'm gonna
Carr
say,
can come up
the
with
only
17
interesting car
cars.
there is PMF Racing of the 68 Mustang. Good for them.
Okay,
There you go.
so I just added this. This is not actually in most. You didn't see this. So I was just on Facebook and I found that there is a True 24 at Utah in Miller Motorsports, and Ernie, Burt Ones, which Jeff ran with Burt One. We're
Absolutely.
great friends with them.
Yeah,
They're
definitely.
running in this True 24
So it's
at
Matt
Miller.
and Jim and some
Yeah.
other folks. Cool. Good
And
for
is
them.
it Chump Car
weekend.
event?
Well, they said it was Chump, and now I don't know. I don't. That's why there's a question mark. I don't know if it's Champ is
Same thing.
somewhere else, so I don't know.
I've heard Miller is an absolutely wonderful facility, and I'm glad to hear it's still actually participating in motorsports as opposed to being bulldozed for condos. So
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So-
now Utah Motorsports Park.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was Miller. I mean, they said in Utah. So I don't know much more than this, but I saw it on their Facebook. So they're running at True 24, which don't happen much at all.
No.
So the fact that they're running one with unknown people.
Hey,
so
good
we'll
for-
check
good-
with
no.
them.
You know what? I completely missed it on the Champ website. I apologize because normally I'm the guy that compiles this. Absolutely. Utah
Well-
Motorsports Park, Champ Enduro. Let's real quick. I know that we're running short on time. I was going to try and bring up the
Hey,
entry.
wait,
list.
we know the only car we care about there, so let's keep going because
Yeah,
if you
there
want to
you
get
go.
on
No,
track,
right.
but not
But
for
Hey
20.
guys,
This is my
good on
point.
you for running 24.
Absolutely.
This is my point. Utah is not that far from Texas, as Texans will,
Right.
run.
What?
If I was in Oklahoma
Have
or
you
Nevada,
been to the West, Jeff?
I have.
Do you
I've
understand
been.
the distance between states out there?
Of course. No, I'm
Yeah,
aware
but
of
if
that.
you're
What I'm
gonna
saying
do,
is,
like,
I'm
a
saying
True
that
24.
probably Houston, Texas is pulling people from 2-3 states away. So if you're in
No.
Arizona,
No.
no?
Seriously, Salt Lake City and Houston are like 20 hours drive apart.
Seriously.
But I'm saying
It's
people in the
enormous.
middle who are only 10 hours
there
away.
is-
Nobody in the middle.
Nobody
There is
lives
no one
there.
in the middle.
Nobody lives there.
It's from Denver because you have to go through Montana to get to Utah. From Denver, it's a pain. It's no.
I was going to say,
Almost.
would Lemons or any other group do 2 races on the same weekend
Yes.
on the
Yes.
same side of the Mississippi?
Yes.
Nah, I don't know. Anyway, hey, if
Nothing.
you want to get on track
Who
and not
cares?
for 24 hours, Extreme Experience puts you in the driver's seat of some of the world's best supercars at over 20 racetracks in America and Canada with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, and no governors. Head to xxspeed.com to choose your supercar, find a racetrack near you, and start making a story of your own. They have 7 models of exotic cars and supercars to choose from, 20 tracks in the year-round location in Nolan's. Pro instructor like Mental last weekend in the car with you, helping explore the car's
Heck
limits
yeah,
and learn
boy.
how to drive the racing line. Save 25% when you use the code EveryoneRacers, all one word, at xxspeed.com to book today. Extreme Experience, it's your turn. That's xxspeed.com with code EveryoneRacers. And hey, just to let you guys know, we're looking for some additional sponsors. Let us know if you're interested. Not that anyone that's listening to this actually has any money or cares, but hey, we might as well
you know
try.
somebody.
We're
Right? Maybe
So
you know
that's
somebody.
fun.
For
Right.
cheap, maybe the company you work for. I don't know.
Hashtag you should all totally sponsor us.
There you
Listener
go.
feedback time.
So I had an extended conversation with one of our friends, the proprietor of Rock City Racing, also a member of OK Speed. I've raced with him, and we've read his feedback on the air before because he's very smart and he's very, very focused and directed. So in regard to our episode last week, he had a lot of good feedback. And his first one was great. It says, Okay, because he likes to binge listen to us. He says, I'm 10 minutes into the last episode. I need to meet Chris and Chrissy. And I actually mentioned, yeah, you kind of do, because especially Chris, you're kind of you guys are your type of people. But he did mention that when we were talking about center nets and halos, we were we said either or, and that's not accurate. And it wasn't what we were trying to say, but I listened to it. It's what we said. So the point being is halos are not either or. Halo is literally for a hard lateral head movement. The net, however, is to offset side impact and guide you back into the belts. The center will guide your helmet back into your Hans. In an offset impact, your helmet will fall out of the halo and then wait for your tethers to catch. So you don't actually find any of the organizations that we run with that do an either or. They do one
or the other.
Or they do both. Actually, they do one or both. So some of them do require center net on both sides, offer the same level of protection as a window net to keep your appendages inside if the car goes over on its roof. And a center net doesn't function like window net, that sort of thing. So
sure.
Just the bottom line, know your rules. We misspoke. And Todd, good on you for calling us out and keep us on this one. And one of the things when he's talking about idiot lights is you don't need to know what the number is. You just need to know good or bad, depending on the level of driver you had. And he's right on that, because he points out he's very passionate about car interior design, and I've driven his cars, and he is. And it's all about flow and prioritizing the information. He clocks all of his gauges, all that kind of stuff. And he asked me not to talk too much more about it because interior design he does consider a competitive advantage.
Well then,
absolutely, it would.
That's
be
why
a
Spank wins so
advantage.
much.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we actually mentioned that last week. We said
Yeah.
build natural because you need to make sure that you take that out of the problem of the driver.
And people need
What
to
else do we
understand
got
it
going?
without any stress going on. They need to be able to understand it quickly, immediately on a glance. So
Absolutely.
good on you, Todd. Thanks.
So I want to take this moment to say hi to Chrissy's mom, and I heard the larger story about the socket wrench or the missing socket this weekend, and how you attempted to chase me in the Super Miata, and I apologize, but yeah, I had to get. I had to send it.
Hurl a socket at you.
The
And
socket
everybody
is
knows
back
what that
where it
means
lives
now.
now. Actually, the socket's back.
It is.
I was just going to send it. Let's get on to the main topic.
Topic time.
We all spent the weekend at the track, and
We
none of us
did. It's
went to a
awesome.
race.
Weekend.
And so we're really talking about what you can do at a track when you're not racing. And since the three of us were together, we're going to start with mental. Tell us about your weekend highs, lows, what you learned, what you didn't.
Well, this is great. So I was instructing, and you guys were instructing and learning. And unfortunately, on Saturday, we had a rainout. So, and one of the things on there, and when you're dealing with New Jersey, you're dealing with track personnel, and Extreme Experience takes their safety very seriously. And what it was an extended kind of light haze. And that's the worst kind of rain. If it had been a pouring rain, we probably could have run, or if it had just rained and then stopped, but it's just enough to bring all the oils and everything from every exploded transmission going into turn 7. We did our absolute best. We went out there and assessed the track, and every instructor got out of the car and said, this is not good. We can make it safe, but we can't make the clients enjoy it. As a side effect of that, and then once the lightning comes down, they pull everybody out of all the flag workers out of the corner stations.
Yeah, lightning is tremendously dangerous.
Especially for corner workers. So that was the end of our day. But what Cal Denisi, chief instructor, we're going to have him on as a guest on the show. What Cal Denisi did, instead of letting us all go to the hotel bar, is we sat down and we actually reviewed. Extreme Experience has extremely high fidelity video, and we reviewed some of the videos from that day, and then we went online and we pulled random videos that people had actually already loaded up from that day, and we put them in there. And one of the things we were talking about is how we're interacting with our clients. And one of the big things as an instructor that you've got to work on is it's not your weekend. You're not there to take them as fast as you're comfortable with. You're not there to take them as fast as you want to go. You're there to enhance their learning and to enhance their experience. So you have to, while your job is to look forward, get your eyes up, teach them all the same things that you need to know, you need to be looking over there at the client or your student. are they tensing up? Are they freaking right the heck out on that straightaway? And if they are, you adjust your tone. You adjust the pace that you're talking. You need to slow down. Hey, buddy. And one of the key things is we found
a video. You might want
a
a break at the end of the straight.
You might want to. Shoot.
Or if you've got a client or someone that's getting really, really tense and really over aggressive, one of the great things, Tom Hazen, one of the instructors at Extreme Experience, we watched one of his videos. Guy was getting a little in over his head. He said, okay, we're coming on the straightaway. Before he told him to roll on the throttle, he said, now take a breath, exhale, and roll onto that throttle. And that was both a time delay, so we weren't going to hit ludicrous speed at the end of the straightaway, but
he's gone to plaid.
He's gone to plaid.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then also just kind of what Alex Awesome, the instructor down at NOLA, would call a lizard brain question. It's an awareness question. It curbs red mist. It gets them back under control, and it has them back interacting with the environment. So if you're teaching and you've got somebody they're tensing up a little bit, you just ask them a question that requires a response. How you feeling? How's your breath? Where are your eyes right now? These kind of, and it recages their instruments and gets them in there. So we ended up with like a 3-hour discussion on that, and it reminded me of things that I'd forgotten to do, and it kind of reaffirmed some things that I do. And overall, it was a really effective discussion that, in my opinion, reaffirms why Extreme Experience is at the top of their game with this. They're working to really kind of develop this curriculum. Safety is the top of their priority, and right behind safety is client experience. They want to make sure they have a lot of good time.
It has to be a core value, not a high priority.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying.
No, you know what?
Totally.
I like that phrase better. It is a core competency, I would say, of Extreme Experience, and then right behind it is enhancing that customer experience, which safety is inherently integrated into that. So that's what we did. We focused on being better instructors.
Wait a second. Whoa. Who let the Air Force jerk off into the education book? Core competency?
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you to write a rubric later, and I'm going to test you on this. Just sit in the back of the plane and fly and tell us where the bogeys are, all right? Use that educational terms on me.
Well, and on the subject of educational terms, because Jeff, you've done both. You've done right and left seat this weekend. You decided to be the student. Let's hear about your
absolutely. So as we mentioned, we went to NASA at Pit Race, and I have never been to a NASA event, and we are trying to improve ourselves. So I totally signed myself up for Group 1 so that I could get a human in the right seat for the entire weekend. And I pretended when I registered that I knew nothing. I was like, I've never been to NASA before. Can I have an instructor? Can I go real fast? That's what I put in my
No, you did not.
I did not actually.
No.
But no. I purposely put myself in the slowest, worst, least experienced group because I wanted to have the most amount of instruction. And I knew I would have to deal with classroom and BS and all that other stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now that I was pleasantly surprised at how much I got out of the classroom. I went in with an open mind, and I knew that some of it was going to be too basic, and it was sometimes. The first class was like, this is a yellow flag, and this is a blue flag with a yellow stripe, and so like
there's a race going on.
There's a race going on, and you're not in it. Yeah,
it's the Swedish diving flag.
Swedish diving flag.
That's what I call it.
They called it the MG flag.
That's about right.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes, some of it was totally too basic, like the flags in their meetings, but some of it was helpful reminders of stuff I knew. And really, I want to say that the curriculum that the Great Lakes NASA region is doing is fantastic. And no matter what your level, if you want to go out and really learn, you should check it out. Other regions, call them up and steal it because it's fantastic. And before I go on, I know Chris wants to jump in here.
I'd say I've been to a bunch of different regions of NASA and BMW Club and stuff, and I am totally impressed with the HVDE program of Great Lakes NASA. They are head and shoulders above everyone else.
That's why we go to Pit Race
at all
this
of the
weekend,
levels that they do.
time.
It's because most places, once you get beyond 1 sometimes, and especially beyond 2, there's no thought to anything. It's just go drive, have a good time. Here, the learning never stops. So that's a really nice thing they do. So Jeff, keep going. Sorry.
Mel, do you want to jump in here before I keep going?
And you're absolutely right in everything that makes that reason good. NOLA does the exact same thing. In fact, NOLA makes level 2 and 3 do drills.
Hell,
yeah, and I'm going to talk about
we did drills
that.
in 4 mental.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm going to talk about this. So the way that it worked is, we had a meeting, we made a run, we had a class, we made a run, we had a class, we had a run. So we between each session we had a class, and we had just as many time sessions as 3 and 2, 3 and 4, but with more stuff in between. So really, I got the most bang for the buck because I got the same amount of seat time as anybody else, and I got more instructions. So we ran drills. We ran great drills, tire loading drills, calling out your eyes. Take one lap where you attempt to apex everything too early, and then you attempt to apex everything too late. Now, I know what an early and late apex is, but doing them back to back, the same turns, makes, it reminds you of everything because when is the last time you purposely tried to do something wrong on a track? So that's what we did. My instructor, his name was Andy. He was great. He understood I wasn't basic. He totally helped me fix some stuff that I was doing badly, like early apexing. Sometimes we did the drill, sometimes we didn't. When we went out in the early apex drill, he's like, I think you know how to early apex already, Jeff. Why don't you just do a couple and then immediately switch to late apexing? But the head instructor, yeah, exactly. The head instructors didn't pander. They didn't talk down to anyone. They had no problems running discussions with the students like a round table, not like a lecture. I actually missed one of the sessions and I felt bad. Like I literally went up to him and apologized. It's like, damn, I wish I had went. So kudos to Bob the Brit and John the Professor, an actual college professor. They made the classroom sections engaging. It was basic at times, but it was never boring. So 2, 5, 10 stars for the classroom. I'll hit a few other things, but I'm waiting to see if there's any hands on classroom questions. No. So other thoughts on NASA? I've never been to a NASA before in my life. The machinery was amazing. Lots of fast Mustangs, lots of Camaros, lots of people with high dollar daily drivers putting them out there on the track.
How many Ferraris did we say?
There were two. There were like 27 white ones.
27 white ones.
Chrissy and I were driving across the paddock and we got cut off by a white Ferrari. And then like a minute later, another white Ferrari passed. I was like, that jerk off's back again.
We're like, oh wait, there's 2.
There's more.
We just saw. No, there's only 2. We saw them multiple times.
Exactly.
Yep. They're both in my group. It was fun listening to them go by.
Yeah.
One of them sounded
fantastic.
ragged.
Yeah.
No, it was.
One was a 360, one was a 430. Both challenge cars. They
Challenge
were
cars.
epic. Yeah.
They were really pretty. And white is just beautiful on a Ferrari. But anyway, I just want to say that, like we as race car drivers think about race cars and street cars. And when you go to a NASA HPDE weekend, you're going to see the blend. There are full race cars like that LS Miata that had more plastic wings on it and dive plates and, sheets of Lexan enough to make a hockey rink. And then like guy who literally just bought a Mustang off the showroom floor and showed up with it on its stock tires and stock.
Right, their tape is painter's tape because
painter's tape on
literally
floor.
just brought it.
Or a guy with $200 Miata.
Well, and then there was me. Yeah, that's it. The people were all fun. There was a barbecue. They fed the entire paddock. Like
ribs
and chicken.
Dope.
Beer, wine, drinks. Some lady gave
Wait a minute.
limoncello.
The guy running the barbecue wasn't an older gentleman with a really hot rodded Chevy pickup, was it?
No.
Don't know.
Okay.
No, it was a
big black guy with a gray beard, Fat Jack's
no.
or something.
with an expedition.
Okay, there was an instructor with extreme experience. He always goes to pit race, and he'll cook out for all the extreme experience guys. And he's a great barbecuer.
Was paid to feed the field.
So NASA, that is awesome.
NASA was great.
Somebody.
The vibe
well
was
done.
Yeah, the vibe was chill. And last thing I want to say, the dually. That is my second purchase if I ever hit the lottery. First purchase is at the Porsche dealership. Second one, whatever flavor dually pickup I decided.
So you're a Cummins fanboy now.
No, I like the diesel.
By the way, Mental,
I don't know about Cummins.
there's no G in that it's Cummins.
I'm sorry,
Cummins. Yeah.
Down here in the South, they've got all kinds of inappropriate
You add letters.
and they've got all these inappropriate bumper stickers about the difference between
You're
power
not coming,
strokes.
you're stroking, or
That I was so trying not to go there, but
All right, let Jeff finish.
I would like to fix the record by saying I'm an International Harvester guy. Work no longer sells those, so I don't know what I would go buy.
Okay,
That's it. That's the end of my thing. If anyone's got any questions, shoot. But I'm done.
And dear listeners, unfortunately, we're going over, but you love us, so just keep listening.
yeah.
All right. So
I forgot to mention the Miata was amazing.
And Miata was
did
amazing.
not miss a tick.
And actually, I'll just talk about that because without a Honda, Jeff so nicely loaned me the Miata. So I ran into
it did hump your Mazda,
wait.
so we kind
How
of
many times in the last 3 weeks did I borrow one of your
all
cars?
of our cars.
That's
How
true.
many times did I break something of yours in the last 2 weeks?
Sure, there's
Several.
that too. So
I didn't tell you that
basically-
the right rear door lock on the Suburban no longer works since you brought
Doesn't
it
work
back,
now.
but I don't think that's
No,
your
you
fault.
cannot put that on.
No.
Man. That is
Might be
so
timing.
not fair.
I didn't even
Okay.
open a
Come
rear.
on.
Okay. So basically on Friday when Chris calls me, this isn't even in my section of HPDE, but Chris calls me and says, "What are you going to do?" And he says, "Well, he's going to bring the NSX. I'm certainly not driving the NSX on track because I will not have a good time if I'm driving the NSX. It's not going to be great." So I call Jeff up and say, "Here's what's going on." And I tick off quickly, Honda's dead. This is what's going to go on. Chris is on his way home. This is where we're going. And can I drive the Miata? Absolutely. Okay. So Miata was my deal.
I know this. I know it didn't happen this way, but I just have this vision, and just because like Chris called, the Honda's dead. We're taking the NSX. Can you drive Jeff's Miata?
I can't give the amount of curse words that came out of the mouth. Much fresher Honda.
You're both so wrong. It was fine. We're
Chris and Chrissy are not cussers.
we were texting. We're like, oh, Honda blew up. Oh shoot, what happened? Okay, so anyway, all right. So let me tell you about my HPD experience. So I had no Honda. I had some not a little bit of concern on taking the Miata, just because it was a car that I wasn't familiar with. My first stint out was
an idiot rebuilt it in the last 3 weeks.
I didn't say this. But my first stint out was not ideal. So I had not driven this car. It's not that I've never driven a Miata, but I had not driven this car.
Janky.
It's janky, but I haven't driven a Miata in a couple of years. So my first stint out was I did my share of money shifting. So I didn't know, right? So I'm driving down and
she took it like a beast. She didn't care.
No, it's not true at all. I was driving, and all of a sudden, I can't. So money shifting for anybody who doesn't know, I'm driving. I'm trying to drive from third to fourth, and I go into second. So the RPMs go wow, right? So before I actually engage it, I notice that this is wrong. Hold on. So I have really struggled trying to do fourth, figure out where fourth is. So I really should have driven around the paddock, around the street to figure out where the actual shifting, where I'm shifting in. Again, I said I've driven a Miata. I know yours is not weird. It's just that I was unable to find and understand where it's going. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to mention because there are new listeners, maybe 1990 Miata 1.6, totally bone stock. Every piece of suspension has been replaced by me in the last month and a half. I paid $200 for it. There is at least
thousands of dollars.
There's probably closer to $2,000 in the suspension right now, and I broke every bolt as I took it apart. Go, Chrissy. Keep going.
Fine. So there's nothing wrong with the transmission. It's just that I was unable to do it well my first stint out. So I actually brought it in early because I was very concerned and I didn't know what I was doing. So fine. But so after that, everything totally great after that. So
how'd you get past it? I mean, you sat in the car and practiced a little bit. Just to
sure,
make sure
I
you had
did.
it.
I did. I came in. I was concerned that I broke something because I had was unable to find the right gearing, and I brought it in, practiced. Everything from there was great. So my classroom was different. I had two sections. Saturday morning.
Which group were you in?
I was in 2. Thank you. I was in HPD 2, which made it so that Jeff and I could both dual drive the car. we were back to back, so there's plenty of times where I jump out of the car and then get Jeff in the car, but we're really good at pit stops, so it was really not a big deal. So
we impressed a lot of people with our pit stops actually in the paddock. Yeah.
And my instructor Andy was definitely feeling slightly uncomfortable being touched in the private areas.
Oh, and I kept
he helped him in the belts.
So he kept saying like, "Oh no, I'll do it," and I was like, "Put your hands up."
No, you're too
this.
slow. Yeah.
Right?
Too slow.
And I was like, "We do this in two minutes. You get out of my way," which is really what happened.
But you're a girl. Hashtag me too.
Don't care.
No, it was more like he's never really been in 5-point harnesses.
Oh,
so
okay.
For him, it was kind of like, which tab goes where? Yeah. What do I do? So
Why is it lifting and separating something that I've never lifted and separated?
It wasn't actually that tight, but anyway. So basically, my classroom was different, but it was great, and I had 2 really big sessions, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, and that's what. And then Jeff was in the classroom for then on, so that's why I was in the classroom. So mine were longer. We talked about braking. We talked about a little bit extra things of how racing goes, and we practice a lot of things. So we also had download meetings, which is a different thing that most of our other NASAs don't do. That's a meeting where everybody meets in a either outside a tent or at a picnic table, and our whole group meets and we say, how did that go? And any problems, anything we're working on, anything you saw out there, and we all just kind of meet, and it's half an hour to an hour, and we just talk about what's going on, and it's a great thing to kind of regroup and figure out what you need to do next time and how things are going to go, and that's when we review the drills. Go ahead.
Question about the download sessions. I have heard that at other HPDEs, these become where you complain about who didn't give you a point by or who's not doing the right thing. Obviously, there was none of that in 1 because our people wouldn't let it. Did that happen in 2?
No, it didn't happen in 2.
Okay.
It didn't actually happen the whole time. This would be where we would say if there's something that happened, this group, this is the time to say, hey, somebody didn't give
Who's in that giraffe Civic? They suck.
Shoot. No, you're laughing. This happened. Not at this place, not at this NASA region. It happened before. And it happened, and I felt like the lowest person. I wanted to hide. It was awful. So these group, actually,
I suddenly want to beat somebody's ass for making one of my teammates feel like that.
Some people in HPD think that if they have a faster car, they are a separate class of person, and that faster cars are better than slower cars.
And if I don't give you the immediate point by quickly, then they lay into you. But this was a while back, and that was a couple of years ago, so it was fine.
All right.
This group was great, and even so, let me get on to drills. So we had our own drills, as Jeff said. We had drills that had a reverse grid, so the slower cars in front. So basically, I and a couple other Miatas and another people that weren't used to being on track, we all stuck ourselves at the end, so we could let all the really fast Mustang. No, I'm sorry. Previously, we had stuck ourselves at the end. For this drill, we stuck ourselves at the front because they insisted. So I was number 1 car. Not excited about it. But the whole group, it went really well, ended up being great. So we had some stack up behind us with other slower cars. And since I'm so good with figuring out where everybody else in the field is, I was able to I only had a couple of people behind me and pointed them by really quickly, so it was great. And we also had another drill, which was offline drill, and we did that for a while, and I was like, that's dumb, because I do that racing all the time. I was like, this is not even worth my time. So I let that go too. Chris, go ahead.
Well, I think the main point of the reverse grid drill is they're trying to encourage passing, both passing and being passed. They want you to make me be comfortable with it. So they're forcing it by making this reverse grid drill in 2. Because once you get to 3, it's open. You got to be used to it. Sorry, that's it.
Bye, Jeff.
I just want to mention that Andy, my instructor, said at one point, wow, you have really good, mirror knowledge. When they're there before they get... I'm kind of used to that. And then at one point, there was a BMW 235i who was not very good, 40 miles an hour down the center of the track. And I caught up to him, and he pointed me by, thank God, because he was very bad at that in the beginning. And by time he pointed me by, and by the time the 1.6 could unleash all like 116 horsepower, we were like in a
That car
turn.
does not have 116 horses.
No, it's not even close.
It did one day.
It did at some point. So by the time I got like door handle to door handle, it was like in the turn, and that's not a problem for me. I just kept my foot to the floor and went right around him, and he was like, "Wow, that was a really good offline pass." Yeah, I do that a lot too.
Right. So I think
Kind of where we live.
what Jeff is saying is really like we're not the target market. So in all of these things, and I got the same compliments actually. This is one of the few times I only had instructors 2 different sessions out of about 4 or 5, about six sessions. So I only had people in that, and the one that I did was that reverse grid. I had an instructor that I had never met before. He got in my car, and I told him, brief history about what I do, and then and every time it was like, wow, like before he could tell me like, hey, there's a person there. I'm like, all right, already pointing by. He's fine, no problem. And the thing is that's different in HPD2 that's different in most places is that we had passing everywhere with a point by. So we had, it's all safe enough, but we had plenty of people that were pointing people by only on the straights, which is where it's convenient. You're driving, you're doing all these things. It's easier to, it's easier to, in HPD1, that's all you do is pass in under one. I'm sorry, in HPD1, that's all you do is pass on the straights.
On the straight. Yep.
In HPD2, they changed it because when you get into 3, you're doing passing all the time, with or without point buys. So we were trying to, get you ready for that level. In 2, now they do everything point buys anywhere, and to pass. So that was a different thing that we had been practicing. So basically, sessions got better. I had limited coaching. I rocked. Everyone got awesome. I made a song, modulating with gas, and then I made this song up because I stopped breathing. I was braking to kind of set the nose through a set of S's in this track, and instead I did not brake at all. And then I made a song. And I beat 2.2 seconds off my best lap in like no problem. I had 3 laps with this session, and I took 2 seconds off the lap, no problem. Or best time. So, yes, go ahead, Mental.
Knowing that Chrissy has never seen any movie ever, it's like the long kiss goodnight. Got my keys in my right pocket. Modulating with gas.
I just make up songs. That's what I do.
She does.
That's a legit thing, though. They teach people with ADHD to do that.
Yeah, we've had mantras in the Civic all the time. I use mantras out there.
Yes.
I will press all the way in this turn.
How about turbo power? Okay.
Wait, turbo power.
Okay.
Stock open differential. I say that all the time.
All right, so I'm almost done. Chris will be. We found that I made the race a race map. I showed everybody when we did Facebook Live that one time. I made a map of pit race, and I think it was super helpful. So the 3 of us sat down. We talked about lines. I'm going to do the same thing for Thompson. I think it's a great practice to do. So that's like buy that big sheet of paper, draw it out, figure out where the line is, and you can really have a great idea of where to talk about. And then I closed my weekend out with a race cap. I have taken Mental's idea to write my stuff down. I figure out what I did. I write it down, and it's great. So I had a great time. That's my deal.
I also noticed on the weekend you were doing homework for work. I saw that binder.
I was. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Safety.
Yep.
Well, I had a pretty fun weekend too, really.
After
because
Friday.
Because it doesn't suck to drive your NSX around a fun racetrack all weekend. I'll put it that way. So, So basic driving impressions of the NSX on track. Especially I'll compare it to our Z4 M Coupe. See, the M Coupe came alive on track. And once you're on track, you understood why it was the way it was. And you also understood that you had to grab it by the scruff of the neck and treat it like the beast that it was. And when you did, it all made sense.
As Jerry would say, you got to pull her hair a little bit.
Yep. The NSX is just more of the same. It is just smooth. It's not like the BMW. It's the same way it is on the street. If you want to go fast, cool. If you want to chill, cool. Whatever you want to do, no problem. I got it.
All right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like the Mercedes, it's made to cross continents. It's made to be chill. But if you want to make it go, it'll do it. It'll just be mildly stubborn about it, but it'll do it. Where the NSX will do anything you want, and the BMW made you drive on the street like a huge asshole. Just that's the way the car was.
Yes.
True.
So
True. All day.
So at the limit, it very nicely understeers, because if you were to pop off the gas, it'll just come around a bit. Then you can feel that lump behind you working, because I'm not used to mid-engine cars as much. I'm used to front engine, front or rear drive.
Definitely felt different.
Yeah. You feel it working around
I could feel it
there.
in the passenger seat. Yep.
And it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's totally fast enough. And especially I was shifting it a little early. Like I wasn't banging off the limiter. I was shifting it like 7,500, keeping it easy. And the biggest problem I had
was Haggerty's. He was being easy. Give him
the
a
biggest
break
problem
next
I had
time.
was we were on stock brake pads. I have the receipt from the previous owner having these brake pads replaced at the Acura dealer in Miami, Florida. So I know where these brake pads came from. And they are 100% stock Acura, and they're fine for like mild track use, but not hard. So I had to take it easy on the brakes a bit. The first time I went out, I definitely encountered a very hard pedal coming to turn 1 at about 120 miles an hour because the pads were getting a little cooked out, because I don't think anyone had ever bedded them in or gotten them hot enough to bed in the past, based on the previous owner we bought it from. And the other owner, based on what I know of the maintenance records, no one had ever gotten them hot. Exactly.
Right.
Old
So,
people.
yes.
Shut up, Jeff. I'm right here.
So
No.
I finally got it hot enough, and they survived the rest of the weekend. The Mosul fluid was fine, the Redline oil was fine, and it was a great time. And now the car's got rubber marks on it, and it's dirty, and it's got tons of brake dust on the wheels, but it looks legit. And I had just a nice time driving it, and I quite enjoyed how much people seem to enjoy seeing the NSX out on track. So many people came up to me and said, "Oh, it's so great! Like that's such a great car. It's so great you're bringing it on track. It's amazing. I've never seen one of these on track before." And so I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Every third person,
Right?
This is your NSX. It's so nice.
Yeah,
I've never seen one.
it was a wonderful
gosh.
time. But I have to say, I actually had exactly as much fun the one session that I
more
took the
fun.
Miata out at the end of Saturday, in the last session of the day, and I mad-assed this Miata around the course. Like it owed me money, like a rented mule, a redheaded stepchild, whatever you want to call it. That's the session the Miata and I had together. But I got all of the time out of that car.
There was no time left after that.
Oh, no.
What's the great mantra? It's more fun to drive a slow car fast than it is to drive a fast car slow.
It was amazing, because I got every last second out of that car, but it was fun to feel the weight transfer, and to feel like that I'm getting the traction out of all 4 tires. Like you can feel each one and what it's doing and how it's working, and it's great. Jeff, yeah.
I was going to say, several times during the Class 1, they talked very much about having a low horsepower car to learn on. And like, yes, I know you all like your BMWs and your Mustangs out there. And John, the chief, not chief instructor, the head of Group 1, he basically talked about selling his giant Mustang for an RX-8 as a TT car, because it's so much cheaper to run. It's so much cheaper on the consumables, and a slow car will teach you and reward you for doing everything right. But a fast car will help fix your mistakes. And there's something that he had a bit of a spiritual bend to him. He was a Mexican who talked about killing a chicken to make sure it didn't rain on us all weekend. He was joking.
It worked, and it's
He
fine.
was joking. I'm pretty sure.
It worked.
He is a college professor. But he talked about.
Already.
Yeah, he was awesome. He really talked about like the true spiritual connectiveness and the no BS. If you do something right in a low horsepower car, you are immediately rewarded, and that is perfect.
And it's the same thing with people, the fools who run Hoosiers in HPDE. I don't know what the hell is wrong with these people, but it's the same thing. It just masks everything until it goes terribly wrong, and then you're in the wall. So just run the street tires. Like we were running, actually, a set of tires that we took off the Civic a year ago at Thompson because, well, these are done, and we stuck them in the shed
They
in
worked
New
so
England
well.
for a year. So they have been through how many freeze-thaw cycles? And we just said, well, there's enough left for the Miata. Let's slap those on. But they were great, and it worked, and that's you could feel it. It worked, and I had just as much fun mad-assing the hell out of that Miata, even though half the time it was with one hand on the wheel and one hand out the left window, but I still did it.
It's so perfect.
Right. And here's a fun fact. I got the Miata 7 seconds off my time from the Civic there last year.
Wow.
On the same tires. Same wheels
So
and
did we.
tires.
Oh wait, we didn't.
So that's an interesting comparison to make.
And that throws kind of a monkey wrench into my hella sweet but terrible comment.
A little closer to the mic there. You're echoing like
I'm
mad.
sorry. Yeah, I'm trying not to laugh into the microphone. And that throws a monkey wrench into my hella sweet but terrible comments.
Yeah.
I go on 3 points on that because we've talked about the tire conversation, and we've had the tire conversation. The tire conversation, it's very specific. Hey, you're pushing a little bit. Hey, we're having some fun. Hey, I'm starting to lose some grip. Hey, I'm almost done. Hey, I'm out of it. I'm out of it. And that conversation will always take place in that order. It's just how long is that conversation on a racing tire? I'm holding my fingers an inch apart. On street tires, I'm holding my hands a foot apart. So that's an interesting point. And you talked about
these tires howled. If you push them hard enough on this,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a fairly new surface
They're
at pit
fine.
race. So on the new surface, the tires just howled and howled. And so I had those tires screaming most of the way around that track, and it was immensely satisfying. So that was
It
good.
it was like the noise that you did the turn right.
yeah. And I'm
It
falling
was like
back
the car
in love-
applauding you. Yes. Well done. Well done.
I'm falling back in love with a slow car with the Boxster because that car is not fast, not at all. The Mercedes would crush it, but the Mercedes was incapable of getting around a track more than 2 laps before it's like, I'm done with this. This is not fun for me. But the Boxster was like, hey, let's have a little bit of fun, especially on those Continental DSWs when I don't cook my brake fluid.
Yep. So I also had an HPD 1 student this weekend. He was in a race prepped 95 M3, which he has a.
And folks, we're sorry. We're like at an hour 15
That's
right
why
now.
that's why I cut you off.
It's gonna keep going. Sorry, because we've got a great hella sweet but terrible.
So he was in a race prepped 95 M3, but on good for him on 200 treadwear Kumo XXSs. So. Which is good. His sons are running this in HPD 3.
Kumos are great tires.
It worked fine, but this car had aero. This car was like very,
Lot
very
of
stiffly
aero.
suspended, and that was actually a problem. In that we wanted to do weight transfer stuff, and for him to understand weight transfer, he couldn't because the car had no he couldn't feel the weight transfer because it was so stiff. And this was his third. This is probably his 5th HPD session ever that we started on Monday. Over
But not
10 years.
real proper ones though.
Yeah, exactly.
He's had
Yeah,
issues in the
You
other
guys are
ones.
already rolling into weight transfer because wow, good on you. That's impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that
Well,
was one of the
That's
HPD
one of the
drills.
drills.
It was weight transfer. It
Wow.
Was, it was
okay, Pittsburgh. Good on you guys.
It was the Great Lakes region. Seriously, the HPD program of the Great Lakes region is the best I've ever encountered. Their management of the time on track is pretty terrible.
Not the
but
best.
Their HPD program is
I
amazing.
wondered how much of that was pit race and how much was the
Hard
Tough
to
Tough to
say.
tell. Tough to tell. But anyway, so but over the weekend we made great strides. Even though we spun off in the inside of turn 5 once into the
Right,
dirt
that
mound and had
happened.
to get towed out
That was
because
in the
we were
one,
stuck.
too.
Right, it was the end of the day. But anyway, over the course of the weekend, he was like a 50-year-old guy, and they had the most amazing trailer I've ever seen. It was a 50-foot long 2-story toter home stacker towed with a
It was a
top
fifth
kit.
wheel, wasn't it? Didn't have
Oh
fifth
yeah,
wheel?
hell yeah, it was amazing. But
was
he
it
also
towed
brought
with a Cummins?
no, it was a Duramax,
Oh.
and on a medium duty GM truck chassis. But anyway, they also brought a first gen MR2 with a built turbo 4 AGE in the back. That's the other car they have. Anyway,
Who was
nice
That was
guy.
that was in 3.
Yeah.
No, that was a student's son.
That was the son in 3 round
It was
that
in
car.
3 that we missed because neither.
And by the
one's-
way, our listener who's never commented on anything and OK Speed friend Matt Logan just got his pants a little tight in the front.
Yeah. So anyway, but they actually spent a fair amount of the weekend wrenching on the Toyota because the studs between the manifold and the turbo could loop sting and all kinds of things. But the M3 just was a champ, even though BMWs are boring. It totally worked all weekend, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of satisfaction out of having a student that goes from the beginning of the weekend, and I go in the car and going, holy crap, what am I going to, like, where do I start with this guy? Compared to the end of the weekend where he's putting things together, and he's feeling good, and he's making progress, and that makes me feel fantastic. So hell yeah, good for him. The HPD4 group I was in was mix of instructors and really quite good HPD drivers. And first, this region is the only one I've ever seen that does drills in HPD4. So in the past when I've done that, we've had a 3-wide drill. We've gone 3 wide and driven around the track for 2 laps, 3 wide, which when I'm in the Civic and next to some dude in a Z06, like a brand new Z06.
You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. He's looking at it going, is that an effing giraffe that I'm staring at over there?
You
what
bet
the
your
heck?
ass it is, right. So this time we had a little bit fewer because of whatever reason, but we did have a race start drill that we did. So we did a flying start because they're trying to prep the HPD4 drivers to go to TT or into road racing. This doesn't stop at 4. 4 is not a destination. 4 is a path along the way. So we did the flying start. That was fun.
Everything is actually a path along the way. Like
Absolutely.
everything we talked about was like, where do you want to go? So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
And then we did a standing start drill. So, but this is with pace cars and everything. So we're doing a standing start drill. I'm toward the back of the field because I've been putting myself in the back of the field most of the weekend with the NSX because I know the brakes are iffy, and I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm not trying to push it that hard. So we start off standing start, and I'm used to running. First off, the half lap before in the flying start, and then we go, and I'm in the middle of a pack, and my race brain takes over from running lemons and all this stuff. Like, I'm feeling great.
I can pass that guy.
Oh, yeah.
No
I'm
problem.
pushing my way around a little bit. Like, things are going great. And we only do it for half a lap because we know that even next time around we're doing the standing start drill. So, all right, I back off. That's fine. We all stop on the main straight, ready to go. I'm toward the back. I'm behind a Golf who's behind a Mustang who's behind an S2000, and we're like 8th in line. So we go, and we get going, and then I'm looking ahead because Lemons Racer.
Yeah,
and I
you do.
see through the windows of the Golf, through the windows of the Mustang, that the S2000 is stopped. I ease off the gas. I watch then the Mustang go leftish. I then watch
the rear bumper.
Golf go leftish and rear end the Mustang. I then go right, 2 wheels off on the right, and go around all of them and keep going. So there was
Did
an
you hear that,
incident.
Haggerty's? You should totally sponsor us.
Right?
That's right.
They're happy.
It really, it's that was the closest I've ever come to a crash in an HPD event ever in my life. But because of the race experience I have where I'm always watching for things that are going to go wrong in front of me because that's what Lemons is all about.
And motorcycling.
I knew my escape route. I was ready to go. I took it. I went right around everybody, kept driving, had a good time. Not like the poor kid with the Golf R that fracked the whole front end of its car that's in rough shape. But it's
absolutely
interesting.
like his only daily driver looking car.
And I can't believe there was an accident with a Mustang that wasn't the Mustang's fault.
Yeah, seriously.
Right.
It's great that they're doing these kind of drills in there, and this kind of proves the point that even in a 4 group where everyone's really quite experienced, most of these people are instructors. It's different than racing, and once we actually had these starts, you immediately could tell who was a racer and who was not based on how they handled the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the point, though. If you never do these kind of things, even with some carnage, how are these people who are coming out of 4 supposed to get into racing without getting run over the first time they get in a race?
Yep.
And I've had that where I won't sign guys off from 1 to 2, and it's not because they don't know what they're doing. It's not because they're not smart, because they're not smooth, because they haven't seen it go wrong. I need to know what you do when it goes sideways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But racing is a whole different ball game, and they're really working to try to prepare those people for the chaos that is wheel-to-wheel racing that you don't see.
Well, and that's why we started with passing everywhere. So because you have to pass everywhere. So that's why 2 starts out from just straights. Then you go to everywhere, and then you go to no point buys. That's really the progression.
It's not just passing everywhere, getting past everywhere. Yeah, because dude, someone's going to try and take you on the outside because they've got the horsepower.
That's
or
most of
they have the cornering. Like we passed everybody in the Octopus in New Jersey with a Civic on the outside because we can. So things like that. So anyway, eventful, satisfying, good weekend.
Listeners, we're so sorry. Thank you.
Stop caring. Nobody cares. So anyway, quality weekend all around. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm very impressed. I made a ton of improvement. Could not be happier.
Yeah. NSX is still in the trailer, still really dirty, and it feels great. So,
I also want to mention that the Super Miata is in the possession of my father.
Oh, what?
Who is driving it around all week with the 5-point harnesses because he is registered for a 2-day autocross major event down in Baderfield, Atlantic City with the South Jersey SCCA.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Great.
I want to throw two things in there. One, Jeff, your dad's kind of a badass. That's awesome.
Let's see how that does. Let's not get excited.
Two, and this is the thing that I want to throw down is that the fact that, Jeff, you said I made huge improvements. Jeff, you're not a scab. You're not just some, just off the street. I have seen you throw down in a multi-car environment. You know how to wheel. And the fact that you came out of this HPDE and still learned something speaks volumes to the program that they're running up there at Pitts Race. Because, again, dude, I would throw you in a car against anyone and bet on you every time.
Yeah, in traffic maybe.
Really, Great Lake Region does a great job.
There is no one who can't improve.
Right, that's the
with
answer.
Coaching and drilling.
True.
And
Absolutely
that's really what it is. If you can't get past your own testosterone or whatever and say, I think I'm good enough.
Yep.
You're not being honest.
Testicles in a wheelbarrow in front of you. That's all you can do.
Yeah. No, well, as Jimmy Johnson, the chief safety officer with extreme experience, always says, "Oh, you think you got this? You don't got this."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There it is.
And speaking of that, it's time for Hella Sweet
So
But
we're
Terrible.
rolling up on what is our longest episode ever, but
actually.
this is an important discussion. Very important discussion.
Hella sweet or but terrible.
Yeah.
So who wants to bring this up? Chris, you want to talk
about it? That's my topic. I'll bring it up. So the Civic's hella butt broken with no compression. Number 2, the Ombre.
No idea what's wrong.
Yeah, no idea. The Ombre needs a throttle cable and a clutch slave cylinder and like a good once and a rocker panel and a door bang out and a good once over. So, is the plan fix the Civic at all costs, or also wait? We have 2 weeks for this race.
Right.
Or
2 weeks.
And one of those weekends we have to go to Cape Cod to get our marriage license. So, right. So,
which, by the way, Vicky and I made our plans. We are so excited.
Thank you. So the other place, so it's either fix the Civic at all costs, or we make the Ombre Plan A, and we run it right because we've never really tried this. Run it right with the best drivers, shooting for an IOE. That's the question. I'm up here first. I don't want to go first. No, this is my question. I'm not going first. Jeff, you go first.
I'll defer.
No, Jeff,
you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say that you all know that I love Senor Ombre. I am a huge fan of Senor Ombre, and I would love to give her the send-off before we sell her by rocking her out and seeing if we can crack top 20, top 15, top 10. Maybe come home with a major award. It's a major award.
It is
Right.
a major
Freaking
award.
Ombre.
Major award is right here.
No,
For Gile.
not that major award.
For Gile.
Major award. So I think we have never given the Ombre a fair shake. We have never stacked our best drivers in it. We have never really, really, really tried. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
Gosh. God bless you.
Christine.
All right, so yes, I'm next. I selfishly.
Are you ready for the other opinion?
Well, why?
Okay.
Not necessarily,
I would.
Not necessarily.
So yeah, right. Selfishly, I'd love to have the Civic because I was really excited to drive the Civic on track this weekend. I was so excited to drive it at Thompson. We were secretly or not secretly going for overall. I mean, that was really our goal. I love that track. That car loves that track. So I was very excited. I am feeling so confident after the last 2 HPDEs that I might be able to rock the Ombre. So, so the problem is that, like, Chris fixing the Civic at all costs means a detriment to my life. That means that we don't do other things that need to happen everywhere, because that means that Chris spends every night
every
in the
waking hour
super humid, very sad garage, and he is sad and I am sad. So I'm starting to think that maybe the Ombre might be the better way to go. I know.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
So, I mean,
Mental, what's your plan?
Yeah, that's what I got.
I really wanted to go last because I really feel bad.
It's my question. I'm going last.
Fair. I've got, because I'm mental, I've got the off-ball thought. There's a TR7.
Oh,
no. The TR7 is scary when parked.
I just threw up in my mouth a little.
Because the wheelbase is too short.
No.
Because the wheelbase
Craig
is too
Smith,
short.
who's the co-owner, said no.
I'd like to mention that Bruce totally offered the TR to us.
Of course he did.
I'm just
saying.
Craig said no.
The number of times
let's give the Ombre some muscle. Let's send the Ombre to CrossFit. Let's see what happens.
No.
Ugh.
The number of times the TR has finished a race without a major mechanical in 4 years is 1.
Because all of the TR's mechanicals were the rusty, crappy body.
No. The number of times the TR has broken in half at a race is more.
No, but he's suggestion
is more than the number of times it has finished a race.
No. I want to take the engine and transmission out of the TR.
Too much work.
Put it in the Ombre.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
No way.
Completely new mounts.
No. How hard can it be?
It's not.
GMV6 to GMV6.
Right.
But
just
different.
totally different.
Completely
60 degree versus 90 degree, transverse versus longitudinal. I don't know what transmission is in the Ombre, but it's D5.
It's pretty easy to say. Mental, you're wrong. Okay.
Mental's crazy plan aside. Even though I badmouthed the Ombre the last time I drove it, in hindsight, I've developed a great deal of respect for the Ombre because it just does what it's meant to do. Ombre.
All right. I'm going to go middle ground here. I'm going to pull the Civic apart this weekend. If I can fix it reasonably, I am going to. And maybe we bring both just to see what happens.
Stack your power drivers in the Ombre.
But I'm not going to swap. I'm not going to swap the not as good motor back into the Civic. Either I fix the awesome new motor
or not,
or we run the Ombre. Those are our choices.
Sold.
There it is.
Okay. All right. I'm very, very sorry to all y'all who have spent so much of your life.
They get 2 commutes out of it. It's fine.
Right?
Dude,
and then some. Okay, so
Nate's going to love us.
Next week, we are going to talk about rituals before you get in the car. So this weekend, we talked about it at HPDEs, but it's really for racing or HPDE. Do you have a ritual? So in HPDE, they have a 5-minute warning, a 3-minute warning, a 1-minute warning, and then we talked about it later and said, what do you do with those? So we're going to talk about what you do at different stages in your before you get in the car, and what do you do? So we'll post up, see if we can get anybody. If you have ideas, I would love to hear what you say, and we'll tell you what we think.
So there it is. Find our social media, post up, or send us an email. Tell us, what do you think's wrong with the Civic? What are your rituals? Sorry you had to listen to us twice or do 2 commutes or whatever, but we do say thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Extra Large Everyone Racers.
Magnum.
You'll hope you'll join Magnum.
God
We
bless.
hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. Even if you just want to go to NASA Great Lakes, which I wanted to give out a quick shout out, we'll be at Autobahn Country Club August 11th and 12th, and Mid-Ohio August 24th and 26th. So you too can get the program.
And
So-
Mid-Ohio is a track you need
They
to run.
all said come to Mid-Ohio. So
Totally do.
download us now. Click yes on Google Play, iTunes, subscribe wherever you get us. If you have any questions, give us some show ideas, drop us a comment, Facebook page, or everyone.racers@gmail.com. If you'd rather not venture there, find us on Instagram or Twitter. Do we ever post on any of those? I doubt it. Thanks
Only-
again.
only-
I
mental.
do all the time.
I
we don't
on
look at it.
Instagram, so.
Wah, wah,
Thanks
wah.
again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up, unless you're in a hella beat Miata. Then just tell those fools to get out of the way.
There's shiny.
This is so long, I ran out of music. Thank you, and keep the wheels down.